Okay, we're going to build a bird, and we're going to look at it from the top here, and I'm going to start with a box. And so I want it to be a little bit longer than it is wide because the bird is this direction, and this is the basic body. I'm looking at the bird sitting on a perch and looking towards me here, so without his head, he'd just be, this is just his chest or tail, and this would be the side view. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and then on the keyboard I'm going to hold down the shift button and tap the D for divide, and I'm going to choose Metaform. Metaform will give you the most divisions in a kind of a rounded form, and it's a good way to start with organic things like animals. So OK on that, and you can see that it divided it up really nicely. I'm going to hit Tab on the keyboard to round it out. So this is going to be a good start for the body of my bird. I could have used a ball, but a ball has so many sides and polygons on it, and then it becomes really problematic when you're dealing with triangles here on the North and South Pole. So I have found, at least for me, that a box works better. In this perspective window, I like to bring it all the way down to textured wire because it lets me see my edges and my polygons. I am going to work in polygon mode, and I'm going to grab these two polygons right here, and I've actually got four because I've got two here and two here, and we look at it from the front view. I can see what I've got here, and my plan is to pull this out for a neck and a head. The keyboard shortcut to make an extension or another polygon on top of this is E for extend, and you see it move there a little bit, and you've got another polygon right on top. I'm going to use the move button, which is T, and I'm going to move that up. I'm going to hit E again and move that up, and E again and move it up. If you're building some tiny little thing like a chickadee or something that is more rounded in shape, you could quit before you do this last one. Okay, so I'm gonna drop my tool by hitting spacebar and then deselect here. As I turn my bird around, I can see that on the sides here it's kind of flat, and I want to make it more rounded. So I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select, while holding down the shift key, these edges that are kind of sunken in on both sides. So clicking on those. And then if I move over to one of these two windows, I can use the stretch function, which is H, click and push to the right, and you can see that it rounds out his neck nicely. And I'm going to hit spacebar and deselect. Okay, so I'm going to go back to polygon mode, and I'm going to probably use this right here, this selection, as his beak. And so again, the extend is E, T, move it out a little bit, and E, move it out. Now his nose extension looks a little big, and so I want to make it smaller. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and tap the right bracket button once, twice, to get that whole area that I want to be the beak. Now I'm going to use the shrink and stretch button, which the shortcut is H, and you can see the icon change right here into the stretch. I'm going to hold my mouse right over the beak and pull it down, and I'm going to move over to this window and pull it together, which is going kind of to the left and down. So when you get the beak kind of in the shape that you want, you can release it, or you can just take advantage of that you have it all selected and color it. I'm going to change this just a little bit because I want his beak to come up on his face just a little more, and I'm not really satisfied with the angle here. So I'm going to let go of part of the beak by holding down Shift and clicking left bracket, and then I'm going to hit Y to rotate and bring this out just a little bit more straight, and then H, shrink it down again. So I get a little bit more of the shape that I was thinking of. It's still a little curved here. I'm going to make a small adjustment just by using Control T and grab that point and pull it down. All right. I may go back and make that a little thinner. Yeah. So just go ahead and make the adjustments that you want. This is your bird. And if you do a little research on it, all birds can have different shaped beaks. I'm going to use Control T again, and I'm just going to pull this up on his face just a little bit. And this is going to give me a little bit of that curve between his beak and his face. So to color that, the shortcut is the letter Q on the keyboard, and you have to name it. And try to name it what makes sense. It's really frustrating if you start just naming things XYZ, because when you go back to select them, it's going to be hard to figure out what is what. So I'm just going to turn on smoothing and say OK, and I've colored his beak. I'm going to hit the space bar to drop the tool and the gray over here to drop that selection. Now some birds have a fat neck like this, pigeons, and some of the smaller birds have a smaller neck. Some birds have a narrowing of the neck here, and I'm going to go ahead and select these polygons using my stretch and shrink tool. Again, I'm going to pull it down and to the left, bring it in a little bit, and then move over to this window and do the same. So I'm getting a little bit more of a distinct neck on my bird. Okay, I'm going to bring out the tail now. So I'm going to select this area where I want his tail to come out of. And again, I'm just going to use the extend button, which is E, and T to move, and E, and T to move. Okay. So this is looking pretty fat and sort of like a club. It's not very much like a tail at all. So I'm going to use the same keys that I used before to make a selection. I'm going to hold down Shift and hit the right bracket. That lets me select just the tail. Okay, I'm going to go back to the shrink and stretch tool. I've tapped H on the keyboard and see how it's changed my mouse icon to shrink and stretch. And in this window, I'm going to flatten it out. And I'm going to take a look at it. And yes, it's looking kind of nice and flat, but I think I'd like it narrower through here. I could drop the whole selection, choose just these polygons, and use H to pull it in, but there's a nice tool called Taper under the Modify tab, Taper. And when you use this tool, you always want to use it in the window where that part of the selection is coming at you, coming towards you. So I have it here, and I'm going to click and drag, and it's tapering the back of the tail, which is cool. For some birds, they do have a tapered tail that way, but I want mine tapered the other way. So I'm going to click on N for numbers. It's the numeric. And right here it says shape. I'm going to click on this other one, which is going to taper the other way. And now if I taper, you can see that it's pulling in close to the body and leaving this selection flared out. That's a little bit more like a robin's tail or a blue jay, that they're flared out like that. Okay, so I think things are looking pretty good. I like them. I'm going to go ahead and make some wings. In polygon mode, I'm going to go ahead and select wings on both sides. If you touch it in this window, it only turns on the one that you touched, so I'd have to turn it around. And that's really good if you're selecting just one thing. But if you want to select two at the same time, select it in the wireframe mode and it will shoot through your model and select the whole thing. I'm going to use extrude again, which is E on the keyboard. I'm going to hit E and then H. I'm going to hold my mouse right in the center and click and push to the right just a little bit. And it's beginning to pull my wings out. I'm going to hit E again and pull my wings out, and then E again. And go in slow little increments so that you can shape them a little better. You want to have enough segments here that you can actually make the wings look shaped a little better. Now mine's are pretty thick, like a B-52 bomber, and I really want my bird to have some more sleek wings. So I'm going to use the same process I did before. I'm going to hold down Shift and tap the right bracket until I get all of the wings. Shrink and stretch right here in this front view. I'm going to make them thin, and that's looking better already. And I'm going to go to this view and I'm going to shrink them this way a bit. And now I think they're looking pretty good. I like them. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift and drop the sections by hitting the left bracket. And I'm just going to leave this one so that I can show you some more options. If I hold down T or tap T, I can bring the wings backwards or forwards. So you can make some decisions here about the shapes of your wing. I'm going to leave mine like this because I like them. Now if I want to fold the wings back against the body, I could use symmetry, but I think for this bird I'm going to do these one at a time. I've selected the wing that I want to bend. I'm going to add a little bit to this selection, making sure that I get all of it. And Y is rotate. You can see the little rotate icon. I want to hold my mouse right where the wing attaches to the body and rotate down. And then it's starting to bend this a little bit. So I'm going to rotate his wing backwards a little bit. And at this point I can see a wrinkle right here. So I'm going to drop my tool and I'm going to deselect that part of his wing so it doesn't wrinkle up like that. And I'm going to try this again. Y to rotate and bring his wing back just a little bit and down. And I'm still getting a little wrinkle and bend here that I'll go back and straighten out later. I'll grab that edge and pull it up. But if you want to continue to try to place him in a different position, you can use some different strategies like deselecting or grabbing the wing in different areas. And I'm going to go backwards to about, I guess I'm going to go backwards to here, and I will bend his wings in the next tutorial so that you can follow. I feel like I'm going to make a few little adjustments in the shape of his head, and then I will come back and we'll make some eyes and feet and legs.